Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Akama sarvo kamava moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena jajita purusham param. Akama sarvo kamava moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena jajita purusham param. Whether one is desireless, full of desires for sense enjoyment, or desires liberation from material bondage, if he is intelligent, he should worship the Supreme Person through intense and unalloyed cultivation of Bhakti Yoga. This is a very frequently quoted verse, which means it doesn't matter what, if you don't worship Krishna, you aren't smart. To say in other words, you're pretty stupid. You don't worship Krishna, He's the one who fulfills all the desires. He's the one who rewards Brahman realization. He's the one who is satisfying our entire supply system, everything. So if somebody doesn't worship Krishna, there's a shloka says, then we should consider he's not very intelligent, because he goes against the only one who can actually satisfy his desires. We have desires, we have needs, and who's supplying them? Who's making sure we get anything? So therefore, it's a very strongly theistic attitude. You can only get your mercy from the Supreme Supplier of everything. So why not fix that relationship? By the power of Bhakti Yoga, Srila Vyasadeva, being firmly concentrated in meditation with a purified mind, beheld the all-perfect personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, fully endowed with his spiritual effulgence and his plenary portions. His potencies, Yoga Maya and Mahamaya, were under his shelter. You see, there's different ways that the spirituality can be conceived. And one is the basic one, which is the which is the conception of Virata Rupa. That what Srila Vyasadeva, with a purified mind, beheld the all-perfect personality of Godhead Sri Krishna to be omnipresence, omnipotent, that can also be conceived in a way by seeing the perfect functioning of the Virata Rupa, the universal form. That universal form is so unbelievably amazing. The galaxies, the interaction, simply the interaction of sun and moon and earth, to just leave it at a very simple, observable region. The interaction is so perfect, so amazing. The seasons, how the seasons manifest in this world, and how, or for example, if you observe ice, water freezing and turning into ice, and ice being the only matter which, when it gets cold, it gets lighter. Thus, ice floats in water. If it would not float, the whole world ecology would be finished immediately. But by the grace of the Creator, the heavy, heavy ice, it floats. You have a mountain of it, and it floats in the water, keeping the climate, keeping the water, or the water reserves looked after. So this phenomena of freezing water becoming lighter and floating is of such an importance in the world ecology. And this belongs to the Virata Rupa, like everything else. Nothing is independent. As a matter of fact, water in itself, it's a magic product. Nobody has an idea where water comes from. How is it manifest in a fiery planet? Fire, fire coming from the volcanoes. Huh? Inside the earth is heat, and then all around is cooling water. So, the Virata Rupa is plenty of reason to see the potency of the infinite Lord observing. Plus, all of us, we are hardly working. I mean, we are toiling a little bit here and there, could say playing in a way, but everyone gets water, everybody gets food, everybody gets air, everybody gets supplied by the Creator with such an amazing amount of supplies every day. Doesn't matter whether you're an elephant and you eat tons, or you're a mosquito, or whoever you are. And whenever there's problems, then usually it's us who created those problems, not nature. Nature is just so perfectly supplying. So what Srila Vyasadeva saw, that is also being seen by the natural tribes, that there is a harmonious interaction of creator and creation. And they call it mother-father creation. So, and their conclusion is that we have to worship that Lord. That we have one of the basic tenets of, you could call it the roots of the earth. The roots of the earth actually, now it's an organization, but the roots of the earth is that we have to respond by doing prayer. That prayer is the most important thing. What's the first thing Prabhupada teaches us? Chant Hare Krishna. This is our daily prayer. For us, chanting Hare Krishna is more important than anything else. That's why we start every day in the morning chanting Hare Krishna. Go to the temple, chant Hare Krishna. What is this? This is the prayer. And then when we reflect upon the philosophy by sitting down and trying to find out what is the proper attitude to take as human beings, then this is a prayerful reflection. We request the Lord to give us insight. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayochita Yanayati Asuvailakyam Kyanachayat Vahaitukam. If you do devotional service, if you approach the Supreme Lord, if you do that in an appropriate mood, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayochita, then He will give you enlightenment from within. Yasya Devi Para Bhaktir Yata Devi Tata Guru Tasyaiti Katita Hiyartang Prakashanti Mahatma. If you have faith in the Guru and in the Shastras, simply having faith, then all that which is important for you to understand, it will be revealed to you. So this element of revelation is essential. Vyasadeva received revelation. The natives who are having this proper attitude towards the environment, who give discourses which are absolutely Hare Krishna, who give beautiful discourses on what we are supposed to do as children of the Father, Mother Divine. They have received revelations. The nature of a revelation is that you behave properly, that you do things wonderfully in this world. So Prabhupada provided us with revelations, his own revelations. Prabhupada received as a revelation that he should go to America and take Krishna consciousness there. Nowadays, we are in such an amazing dilemma. I mean, the dilemma is mega-sized dilemma. In what sense? That our educational system is not providing the answers. Our educational system right now is providing people who are not sustainable in the world which they are going forward too. There's a lot of, what you call it, there's a lot of non-sustainable development going on in the world. You know, the world has changed so dramatically that people don't talk to each other anymore. They're just looking at their little phones. They're totally captured. It's mesmerizing. It's like in a movie. It's everywhere people sitting watching a little machine. In the airplane, in the restaurants, everywhere you go, it's everywhere machine. Has totally changed the world. People, one philosopher was saying, I never imagined that the phone, the little phone, would be so all-pervasive, because who wants to be on call 24 hours a day? Who wants to be? Swami Maharaj. Huh? Oh, he's in the bathroom. Oh, give me the phone. Who's calling me? 24 hours available. Who can imagine that people want to be available 24 hours? You know, many of the services you sign up to in the internet, they ask you, do you allow us to give us your messages? Means if you get a message, then the phone makes beep beep, or it makes brrr. It has different signals to alert you that you got the Skype message, you got the WhatsApp call, you got the this, you got the that. So you just have it here, and you don't have to do it. It signals you that you know, oh, somebody's calling me, oh, so I have to attend this, oh, this message is coming, which I was waiting for. So in a sense, you know, who wants to be like that at call? Not many people, but now it looks like everybody is willing to be under constant control. So all these changes, sustainable or unsustainable, whatever it goes to, this is it's a real dilemma. An amazing dilemma, you may say so. Now we believe in something which is called, there's nothing bad which doesn't come for a good reason. Wow. We have to find that good reason for what that madness has come for humanity. That something so amazingly challenging for all of humanity. And one of the very big things we have to tackle as human beings, it's called corruption. What corruption really means? It means for selfish purpose, rules and regulations are simply thrown out the window. Even though we all know a certain principle of honesty, but you know that in the governments, this principle of honesty is not obeyed. Whether you go to South America, almost every president of the country and his ministers, they're either in jail or with one foot in the jail. Have you heard the name Odebrecht? put your finger up if you have heard the name Odebrecht. Just a few. It is a Brazilian company which was caught cheating. Big cheating, big times. So the leader of the company, he said, well, if you bring me down, I cooperate. And I will tell you all the people who worked in this corruption. And there, that's a construction company which worked all over South America. And all the ministers and presidents were receiving millions of dollars from this company to give them the government contracts, roads and all this type of thing. You could say more than half of South America is in jail. And they were the presidents and the ministers. And some of them are not in jail yet just because they have so many big influences, they couldn't really. So corruption. I mean, you go to India and you go to any office and you want to get anything done. They look at you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what? You want to get something done? Yes. So what? That's India, that's corruption, you know. And the list goes on. I was in the illusion that in Germany things are a little better. But one of our friends who was a designer, he said that 80% of the government contracts for anything in Germany only goes out with money under the table. That's German. To forget the rest of the world. And in Germany, if you're corrupt, you risk a good job with a good income and all that, no? And still the whole thing is corrupt. So corruption in this world, what does it really stand for? It stands for our hypocritical system of existence, where the rules are simply meant to be broken for the benefit of those who have the chance of breaking them. That's a nice outlook, right? The rules are simply made to be broken by those who have the chance to break them for their selfish benefit. So what does it mean? Well, it means Kali Yuga, very obviously. No? It means something very ghastly. It means that. Now, how does a devotee work with that? A devotee is supposed to be honest. A devotee is supposed to uphold the principles of Dharma. So, and in the middle of that, it's pretty amazing. Very, very amazing. And then sometimes people come and look at you and they say, so how do you uphold the principles of Dharma? For example, how do you relate to education? What is the principle of education? What is the principle of, like people come to me and say, oh, I want to study something. Of course I ask him, what you want to study? Next question, what do you want to do with the studies after you studied? It's pretty reasonable questions, aren't they? And sometimes they have no answer, but they say, no, I just want to study. But it's okay you want to study, but what you want to study and for what you want to study. What are you going to do with those studies? So, and then I may give a commentary, ABC, and then I'm questioned sometimes. How can you say something to discourage A or B or C in their studies? You're supposed to encourage, not to discourage. I was just hearing something about the German army. You know, sometimes we read a little bit. The German army is totally dysfunctional. They're totally dysfunctional. It's another big corruption, just to get taxpayers' money for investing it, keeping generals happy. And so they were saying that the German army has like 5,000 or 8,000 people outside of the country doing something supposed to be peacekeepers. It's nonsense, peacekeepers. And in order to maintain those 5,000 people, their resources are drained. The other soldiers they're just sitting there. It's even such a thing as the army is dysfunctional. And then they say we need a few $1 billion to renew our weapon arsenal because it's now very old, no? Can you imagine you going out with a gun and it shoots to the back instead to the front? The whole thing is like, I mean, airplanes, if you don't keep them on top every day, no? I mean, you can't leave them there for 1 year just sitting and then you go turn it on and use it again, you know? It doesn't work like that. So, we have machineries of madness going on. So what's the participation you want to have in the machineries of madness? And I tell you the truth, sometimes, you know, it's very tiring in that simple job when people just ask you any kind of question and expect always the right answer from you. It's like, wait a second, you know, it's like too much. How can you? Nevertheless, if we follow the strict Prabhupada principle, he always has the right answer. But Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's answers are devastating. Are you ready for his answers? You know what he said? He said, Western civilization has to be destroyed to come to a real understanding of a true civilization. has to be destroyed. But if it is omni-existence, like one time in India, the chief of police visited me. He was a chief in Mathura, Mr. Tripathi. He said, Swamiji, how are you? I said, what? I'm okay. He said, Swamiji, give me $800. I said, why in the world should I give you $800? He said, because my department has just been requested to write a report on your Vrinda mission. And depending on that report, you're going to have a lot of trouble or no trouble. So I want to write a good report and I need $800 for that. And I said, you know, we are very poor. We are not. He said, you're very poor. I'm also very poor. Then I said, I mean, this is telling you as it was. No? Then I told him, you know, we have not even fixed the temple. Everything is so in such a... He said, I'm also fixing a temple of my forefathers. And he smiled. It was a very smiling interaction. There was he didn't pull a gun on me or anything. And I counseled with Dinesh and others. They say, you better pay. So this is corruption in India, India style, friendly. Let's build temples together. Absolutely shameless. You know? I still meet him sometimes. Now he was taken out of his job. They probably caught him cheating. No surprise. No? The FRO, Foreign Registration Office in India, they come to us and they ask us, do you want to deal with us with trouble or without trouble? No trouble means how much we pay every month. $100 or something like this. We have to bribe them every month so that they will leave us alone as a temple which has foreign visitors and things like that. And this is the tiny part. This is like you go into the business world, you go into the military world. There was a Bofors scandal. One of our friends, Vinit Narayan, great guy, he managed to put like 5 ministers in jail when he discovered that they were doing big cheating when they bought military equipment from Sweden. And was everybody in the government was involved. Huge thing. Usually people like that get killed. But he didn't get killed, he put everybody in jail, so. Now tell me how to do, how to behave in this world. How to keep your sanity at the same time. I'm pretty sure Bulgaria is not much different. So, and what is the right job to take? What is the right subject to study? Well, in my own simple little way of understanding Srila Prabhupada, I've always told the devotees, no matter what, try to remain independent. Do not depend on the system of cheating of others. Some or other in life remain independent. And one of the greatest gifts for independence has been Sankirtan. That has kept us so independent. It even has kept us independent of the tax system, which is like very difficult. Nowadays this tax system is like, no, we're running into new type of problems all around the world. Like nowadays people, they have no more cash. In Venezuela there's no more cash. Can you imagine that? It's unimaginable. If you need cash in Venezuela right now, you have to pay 125 euros to get 100 euro cash. Can you imagine that? In a poor country, otherwise there's no cash. Cash not available. People go to the cashier, to these ATMs, they can only take out $5 or $10. That's all which comes out of that. So they have cash-strapped the country. For what purpose, I cannot understand these kind of economies. I mean, to understand it or what's going on, it's beyond understanding. I just can't. But people can't get cash. So they want to control every single penny, however it moves. In Mexico is going that direction also, no? Swami Maharaj was telling me they were really. So that means the only one who moves money is the money which goes through the tax department. Basically, that's the idea they're trying to get. Anyhow, coming back to Sankirtan, we have pretty much eluded that system over the years to establish Krishna consciousness, to take people to India, to build temples, to distribute prasadam. We practically eluded that system. Somebody needs to get something done. I mean, the devotees have done everything. Some devotees have built houses, some devotees have established business, everything by the power of Sankirtan. And nowadays, by the power of inbound yoga, there's a little income being produced by the restaurants, and like devotees have their ways to move around. And you know something? Devotees' way of moving around, it's not illegal. We're not breaking any laws. We are expert avoiding some laws. That's true, but we are not breaking any laws. Otherwise, they would have crushed us a long time ago. No, we are moving in the society like very avoiding the conflicting situation, and somehow or other, and anyhow, I know that you know these things, the majority of it anyway, but I've practically encouraged the devotees to, whatever you do in life, try to remain independent. Independent work means hard work. Independent, Prabhupada, he said it the other day. I was listening to the class of Prabhupada, and he made it very clear that if you are a Brahmin, you have Brahminical principle in life, you should not have a boss who has no Brahminical principle, who doesn't believe in Sanatana Dharma, who's only corrupt. If you have a boss like that, then your life is going to be very complicated. It's not going to be very pleasant for you. So therefore, I tell devotees, do something independent, where you can be yourself and do things. And anyhow, so this is one thing. And then, for that purpose, you have to take your orientation, what to study, how to prepare, what to do in life. Anyhow, I'm saying these things because it won't be easy for you in the future either. There will be tasks and trials and also errors. Just in order to continue to some or other find the way to preserve Prabhupada's spirit. Prabhupada created a movement of independent thinkers. This is one of the great things altogether. Independent, free thinkers. Whew. This is Brahminical. It is called Om Sarve Bhavantu Shukina Sarve Shantu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Creating a world of independent thinkers who act according to their own conviction. You can't do that if you're in a job with a guy who's cheater and you have to adopt according to his cheating in your behavior. This is codependency. This is like when you have a drug addict in your family, then you become a co-addict when you live with him, because a drug addict, he can never speak to you neither the truth nor the reality. Because a drug addict, he don't know the truth and he don't know the reality. And even if he knows the truth theoretically, because he's not living in a reality, then whatever distorted version he gives or lives, you as his co-husband, wife, father, whatever, friend, have to adapt to his non-reality, non-truthful behavior. This is very complicated. Those who deal with that, no, there was this book you showed me once, Archie, what was that called?
Addictology. Which one, the addictology or the 12-step?
No, the one of accompanying those. A whole course in
ACA, yeah.
What's called?
Adult Children of Alcoholics?
Yes.
Yes.
ADA? ACA, it's a whole world of people who are codependents, how they have to learn how to tackle life if you live with a drug addict in your life. It's amazing. If you take your time and study that, it blows your mind. How you're living around lies and non-realities. So if you want to work on the basis of that, it's a very difficult job. Absolutely difficult job. So, therefore Prabhupada said, independent thinkers. We need independent thinkers, those who can act according to their true conviction of what reality is all about, and proceed harmoniously in life. keep happy. Some people, they manage it. There are loopholes, certain kind of loopholes, here and there. Not many, but there are some loopholes. You know what's a loophole? A loophole is like you're surrounded by enemies and they're just about to squash you, but there's a little hole. You can go through and escape from that. That's called a loophole. You're like the last little corner you can just get out. So in that society there are some loopholes where you kind of, it's okay. Apparently okay. I say apparently because how much is it okay, that remains to be seen. Like if you go to, according to David Precht, a very prominent German philosopher of today, he denounces our educational system as totally dysfunctional and not providing to the children any future. And I mean, you hear those things and you don't know exactly how to relate to them, but we have a system in education where they pump the children full of knowledge, certain data. They just pump it into you, like in a highly competitive system. Your little brain gets like overly pumped. And in order to compete in the next competition, you just have to memorize this for the moment, because the next moment you forget it. After the examination is gone, you just out with this nonsense. So they pump you all full with these things, have you on the highest competition, because if you don't get the best number, you don't get a chance for promotion or study numerus clausus they have in Germany. If you're not having certain amount of numbers, you can't study. So, and then in the end, they have achieved a certain memorization ability in children in order to pass the test. Many of them crack, they can't do it. But those who went through it, then in the end, when they got all their notes and they got all their certificate, they are like kind of zombies. They haven't learned how to act. They have just learned how to memorize. They have not learned to be independently thoughtful. What does it mean? They're not functionable. They're not really job functionable. So that's what Mr. Precht says. We are training up the kids in school dysfunctionally. And it goes all the way through university. It's just like our educational system is debunked. But they're not changing it yet. They're talking about it. Then in the middle of that, then people look at me, so, my dear Swami Paramadvaiti, what educational system you propose? Well, you know, oidotherapy. And from oidotherapy, which was born, oidotherapy was born in the house of wisdom. And from oidotherapy was born faith education. And faith education is cooperating now with Pedagogy 3000. So we do have a conception. We have an idea how to do, how to behave, what is our idea? It's something like parallel universes. How to exist parallel to what's going on and have something which is acceptable and sustainable. I mean, it's virtually impossible, you could say, but here you go. Some of the devotees have kids, and they look at me, what am I going to do with my kid? Where I'm going to send my kid? All that, they want clear answers in this, and many times we don't have the clear answers. Specifically the education. We used to have the answer called the Gurukul system. But that was a dream. The Gurukul system was such a beautiful dream. I started a Gurukul in Brazil. I started a Gurukul in Colombia. I had the best teachers you can imagine. Really good teachers. Askalita Prabhu was teacher. Balabhadra was teacher. Really good devotees, very, very serious. And the children responded, my God, you know how beautiful a Gurukul looks when you have like 20 young kids doing artik or doing anything, sitting there, studying there, memorizing mantras, taking prasadam, learning how to do some devotional service. I mean, it's just out of a movie. They're so beautiful. And the kids are happy. Of course, if the education, if it's all well thought out, no, the kids are very happy. The system works. It responds. You know, the Gurukula, going to India, standard is kids leave their home, especially boys, and go to the Guru's house, serve the Guru, study with the Guru, doing so many things, I mean, what does it mean? It means practically you go there and you learn how to do things. Maybe in the Guru's ashram you learn how to look after the garden, you learn how to look after the bees or whatever is there. You learn all these things, what life is all about, and you learn the numbers and you learn the arithmetics and all that. So our Gurukul was very beautiful. But the non-devotees, they hated it. They hated it. They would say, how can you indoctrinate these children in this different lifestyle? What future will they have in this world when you come here? It was Prabhupada started Gurukul in the US, and it was also beautiful. I visited schools in the US, and they were also beautiful. Children, what did not work in the Gurukul? Two things. Number one, the parents who were not living up to standard. So you have the kids going to school, learning certain things, then they go home and the father's sitting in front of a TV. So the whole thing goes boom. Their children don't get the full support. Also, there was a little financial lacking. Parents were not taking it serious enough because you have to finance the Gurukul system. In Colombia and Brazil, the brahmacharis largely maintained the Gurukul system. Of course, the parents helped, but they were not maintaining it. If it would have been up to the parents alone, there would not have been Gurukuls. It was because brahmacharis and we decided, let's have a school, let's do it, let's invest in it, let's get a place. And so in this way, it was maintained or started by but then the other problem came, and the other problem fortunately it came in USA and India. And that was that there was sexual abuse of children. And when that happened, it became a big problem for the movement. There was some cases of sexual abuse, a few cases. And what happened? The devotees, they, instead of putting these people in jail right away for sexual abuse, they kind of took them out of the service, and then they entered into some other service somewhere else later. And in this way, they get later accused of not taking the appropriate action of protection of the children, something which in the Christian church also happened. And it jeopardized. You could say it blew up in the face. Big court cases in America. Big amounts of money is fined. When I heard that, I got so frightened. I said, I met with all the parents and I said, dear little parents, please take your children back and make sure you give to them another education on your own. I cannot sustain this Gurukul because in South America, where we are always under the eye of the Opus Dei, which is the Catholic police, who want to devastate anything which is not Christian. They would like to simply blow you out of existence. I say, if I have a scandal like this in South America, they crush the whole movement. They will not let us exist. I cannot take the risk. So that was the end of the Gurukul movement. But I was deeply afflicted inside because I always kept these beautiful children in mind. These dancing kids, girls and boys, in such a joy, rather than going to public school. But it has not been solved yet. But already we have schools now. The first schools have started. We have a very elegant school in La Serena in Chile. We have a very good school program coming up in a few other places. And the philosophy of our schools today is not Vaishnava school, but rather a very religious school, open to all. Meaning spiritual education, but without any confessional exclusivity. And that has been so well received that Pedagogy 3000, a very new system, very well received, has invited the Ueda Therapy Face Education to form the seventh petal. According to Pedagogy 3000, there's 7 petals of education, and the 7th petal is spirituality. And that spirituality petal is an Ueda conception of spirituality, where you do worship and you do recognize and teach spirituality, but without any exclusive practice. You may understand this or you may not understand it, what that means. If you have studied a lot about Ueda therapy, then you have pretty much an idea what this is all about. a very spiritual outlook on life, but without necessarily only chanting the Mahamantra. Rather, you chant different mantras, you appreciate different ways the divine has been approached by the conditioned souls, and so on. So this is how far I have reached. Not very far, but something is there. And devotees are trying. Devotees are so well-meaning people. I really, for devotees, I only have the best words. They're so incredible, well-meaning people. They really want to do the best. Sometimes they're pretty lazy, but, well, that's another problem. But well-meaning, my God, the devotees, they always want the best for everybody. That's incredible. Well-meaning people, you know, we used to call those meanness. In English you say meanness. In Germany we used to call it linke people, linke Leute. You know that? Linke Leute means people who are, their intentions are not well. They are always looking how to cheat you, how to take advantage of anything they can and harm you. Those who are mean, they harm you. They do anything they can do to take advantage of you. So I can give the criteria for my experience that devotees, 95% of them, they are never like this. And those 5%, they're not devotees. So they're just, there's some misfits which came in there, but devotees are so well-meaning people. And well-meaning people, they are not so easy to find. Independently thoughtful, that's one thing. Then, well-meaning people. Now, what is it if you have independently thoughtful and well-meaning people? What does that mean? That means you have the cream of humanity. You really have far out wonderful people. And that's what Krishna consciousness is. This is the strength of Krishna consciousness. The independently thoughtful and well-meaning devotees. Wow. You know, people are so envious of me. Like when I work with the natives and when I work with the NGOs. Just like we had this NGO program in Sao Paulo, and it was the second forum of Mother Earth. First one was in Mexico, after the United Nations of the Spirit was founded, and second was in Sao Paulo. So, the program was organized in Sao Paulo by Vanessa. Vanessa is an environmental lawyer and she's a real activist at heart. And Mother Amritananda and the Seva team. And they said, without your team, we could not have done this entire thing. They are so envious about the well-meaning volunteer help of the devotees. Which, I mean, the whole Krishna conscious movement, the whole Vrinda movement is built up by the well-meaning people. Well-meaning, going on Sankirtan, painting, worshipping the deity, whatever they do. Sometimes we complain. We say, oh, we don't have so much stability. Some devotees, they let you down, or something like that, no? Swamiji sometimes complains about the Mexican willingness to stick up permanently in something. But in the end of the day, everything we have done in the Krishna conscious movement and the Vrinda family has been the contribution of well-meaning people with an independently thoughtful determination to do it, to get it done. I can say about myself, I can simply confess to the reality that I did virtually nothing. I know you smile, you don't believe it, but I virtually did nothing. I didn't go on Sankirtan many days. I didn't construct many temples with my own hands. I just run around and give my class and say, please do things nicely and tell people about Prabhupada. That I'm doing, but otherwise, I have done nothing. Absolutely nothing. So then how did things get done? Do you know Thakur? He just renovated this university in the center of Caracas, which is like unbelievable project that just came out of nothing, and it's the most amazing center of Krishna consciousness there in Caracas. I tell you, well-meaning and Krishna's blessing, but I tell you, they restored this place, they made a temple, they're opening the restaurant in 1 month, and they're talking about a huge thing. No, you have to see it to believe it. It's not, and like that, you know, but the well-meaning people, they were not mean. Devotees are not mean. They may make mistakes, why not? Everybody makes mistakes, but they are not mean. And to find a bunch of people who are hard-working, well-meaning people, to find them, to work together as a team. I don't know what fortune came my way to be able to do that. Really, I said that this is my confession here. You know, before I came to Krishna conscious, I was also a social person. I was moving around socialist circles. There was no lasting friendships even. Usually the friendships ended up when somebody got hooked with a woman or with a man, and then that was it. You had nothing to do with that person anymore. It was like everything was oriented to forming couples, and when the couples are formed, then that was it. There was no lasting friendships. At least I didn't see many. I don't know what about all of you, how many lasting friendships you have back from your karmic times, who still call you or you still call them, and you still really sympathize with each other, and you really still give each other a hand in something, you know, like what a friend means, you know. A friend in need is a friend indeed, and a friend without need is a friend indeed. So I didn't see much of it. But with the devotees, I don't. And I say these things because you have the same advantage I have. You work with the same team. We are the same team. Whether it's me or Swamiji, or we work the same team. We have this incredible, loving team. I tell you that when there was a meeting after the forum in Sao Paulo, and the leaders, some of big political leaders, they came to reflect on the team, on the forum, second forum of Mother Earth. And they all made this comment. They said, Swamiji, this is you and your team. You can do anything with them. We don't have anybody helping us. No? It's only what we do ourselves. I was so surprised the way they were talking. And of course it's true. We have such a team. Amritananda, she worked so hard for this forum, and it was so well organized. You will not believe how incredible was this forum of Mother Earth, how many lectures there were. We were in the top government buildings. We had this fair where all the environmental organizations were exhibiting their products and showing what they are doing. Some real top thinkers, and amazing. The whole thing was very well. It was a 2 days affair, the forum. In Mexico it was 3 days, I think. And in Mexico was just blew your mind what the people did. And in Mexico also, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, from our team, she was one of the key pushers to get things done. There were some others too, some other volunteers. Mexico Forum of Mother Earth. I mean, that was like a world convention. Like some government world convention. And we had one diputado there, Cesar, and he organized, so we got the top government places. Like our meeting was held where all the presidents of South America used to meet for their meeting. So we had like great facilities. And then in the last day we had a Chasqui Fest in the 30,000 seats Plaza de Toros de Mexico. I mean, this, of course it didn't fill up because we didn't get 30,000 people to come, but they had this wonderful program with the top musicians you can imagine, all coming out for Mother Earth and preaching against animal killing in La Plaza de Toros. The bullfighting ring of Mexico, one of the bloodiest places in the world, and the devotees, I mean, and the whole team, they were all preaching against the animal killing there, and it was, I mean, when can you, in Bogota, we actually got the bullfighting ring to be closed. The bullfighters are fighting head over heels to open it again, and still they were not able. It's like closed for the last 3-4 years. The bullfighting ring, that means that's like for the people, it's a sports arena of a traditional sport of the country. Don't think that's an easy job to close that. not only that, but we had a big, we changed the name from Plaza de Toros to Plaza de Todos. Huh? Everybody's, and we had a very beautiful concert there and everything. In the bullfighting ring. Ooh. So, I'm just saying, if you work with devotees in your life, I can tell you, you are a lucky guy. If you work with independently thoughtful people, boy, you are fortunate. I was that fortunate for practically all my life, thanks to Prabhupada. I have to give that total recognition, total with my heartfelt gratefulness, and plus I hope I will be able to work the rest of my life in that noble company. But my point is that such a noble company you don't get for nothing. You also have to do your participation. You also have to give your sacrifice, I just came from Guatemala, where Prabhupada and Parvati, they had organized a Vaishnava Mela in San Marcos. You have to see San Marcos to believe it. San Marcos is on the Atitlan. The Atitlan is a mystical lake in the middle of Guatemala. And it is surrounded by 12 villages, each one of the name of one of the apostles. So the 12 apostles there. So we were in San Marcos. San Marcos is it's a village. It's not a big town, but that village is, I would say, of the establishments, which are probably 100 or so, more than 60% are yoga ashrams. Somewhere in nowhere, no? In the Atitlan, there is a village. Everywhere is yoga ashram. Every establishment, this yoga, that yoga, meditation, this. And in the middle of that, we were having our mela. The Atitlan is so beautiful. It's a huge, huge volcanoes lake. So, and then in the middle of that, the Maya people came. The Maya people, they are the Maya culture of there. And they are the San Marcos Maya community. Now, Parvati managed to make some friendship with them. So they practically received us with traditional chants, and we had a Maya ceremony all together, a Bhumi Puja or a Pachamama Puja. Incredible. In the end, they joined the University of Ancient Wisdom, and four of them even requested to be initiated. But what took place there, the Namchana is my testimony there, they were so close to us, they were so happy to see people from India coming and showing respect to their Maya culture, which is a very, very beautiful culture. It's amazing. Plus, The Maya culture has the oldest constructions in the world. They have what they have in the construction history. They made the most amazing rock temples when here in Germany they were living in caves. I mean, don't forget that, you know, it's like, this is some strange disbalances there, but they were so friendly, and because we were coming from our Indian tradition and giving recognition to their Mother Earth consciousness, and they were so happy, so they were like, wow, yes, we want to be with that spirit. So they joined the University of Ancient Wisdom, and with the, like you could say in San Marcos, we are now welcome for the rest of the days. And they have everything. I mean, they're living there. Beautiful scenery, unbelievable ceremonial grounds where they do their temples. I mean, you have to see it to believe it. It's like their ceremonial ground where we made our rituals for the Mother Earth, and that was like amazing setup in the nature there. Over, you remember, on top of the mountain where we did this puja, and then really outstanding. And then we also had an amazing relationship with the mayor of that town and with some of the yoga ashrams. No, it was really, it showed where Krishna consciousness has to go. You don't make everybody a devotee. You have to make everybody like the devotees. Please take a note of this. You don't have to think about making everybody a devotee. It's not the appropriate attitude in mind. You have to behave in such a way that people will like the devotees. That's all you have to do. Everything else comes by itself. If you behave in such a way that people do not like the devotees, and very bad. And if you behave in such a way that you make people feel, I want you to become a devotee, then people may feel intimidated, they may feel proselytized, which is not so highly appreciated at all. I mean, at heart, you may want to feel, I want the whole world to be devotee. In your inner heart, you may feel like that, there's nothing wrong with that, but in your behavior externally, you cannot make people feel, I'll accept you if you accept my doctrine. Only if you submit yourself to my doctrine, then I will like you. Then I will open my heart to you. That is wrong. Please get my message. That is wrong. We didn't go there, I tell you, we didn't go there to convert Maya culture people. But they came until the very end. They said, we want the japa, we want the country, we want the name, we want to be part of what you're doing. Huh? They were running after us. We did not go there with the idea of converting anybody. We just went there to have a nice Krishna consciousness festival in Atitlan, the first Guatemala Vaishnava Mela. It was so beautiful. Really, wow. Just like the Berlin Mela now is really beautiful. And to be with all of you. So the conclusion is, just behave in your life in such a way that people love the Vaishnavas. But for that, you should also give them a hint that they know you're a Vaishnava. Because if you make themselves like you only, because you're such a nice, handsome, friendly guy, there's not enough. Give them some hint that you have a relationship with Prabhupada. Give them independently thoughtful. We are independently thoughtful thanks to Prabhupada. He is the one who gave us the right and the duty to act as Brahmins, individually thoughtful people. We owe this to him. Does the German educational system want to make you independently thoughtful? What do you think, Prabhupada?
No.
Does the capitalism, the consumer society, wants to make you independently thoughtful, Brahma? Brahma. Oh. Malati, does the consumer society want to make you individually thoughtful?
No way.
Does the television and internet program like Facebook wants to make you independently thoughtful people?
Sometimes if you look through their life. If you look through their life, then
Thank you. That's very kind of you. No, the devotees sneak in. That's another thing, but this is not oriented. Individually thoughtful people are very rare, and that somebody promotes it. Like Abai. Abai is my son. From little baby, I know him. No? I want him to be individually thoughtful. He's a great guy. He comes all the way from Colombia, he studies in Germany, learns. If he's not independently thoughtful, then for me it's a disaster. If he comes and just says, tell me what to do, I don't know. Tell me what to do, I don't know. I give him some ideas, but you have to know. I mean, Sri Hari, he's independently thoughtful. So, too independent. No, really independently thoughtful. He goes somewhere and gets the whole thing done, what he wants to do. Before I know, he's gone. And he has made some huge paintings and all kinds of contributions. But this is what Krishna consciousness is. Independently thoughtful people. And that's how you preach. That's how you reach out to people. By independently thoughtful. This is what Prabhupada has given to us. That is his gift. And a company of amazing human beings. So what is that technology today? So so the whole idea is in our work, in our life. We have to look for like-minded people to make beautiful projects. Like Patti goes to Berlin, to Munich with Mohini, and then he's getting help. Now it looks like even Ambarish is going to move down there. My God, our artist star. I mean, to make a team of people working together lovingly with some idea. That's really... And as you know, I'm giving the charge to my disciples now to run the things. It's a funny thing to say because they've always been in charge anyway. But now that I'm requesting them to take a more full responsibility, to not rely on me on everything or even on specifics. Doesn't mean that I will not be available at certain moments, but don't rely on me. Because what if I'm dead? Nothing to rely on. So we have to rely on our own thoughtful, responsible nature of doing things, and that is for me it's a great challenge, even for myself, because I'm this kind of nature. I always poke my nose into everything. Some people call that nosy people. Always poke your nose in everything. What's going on there? Because the next moment I pull out my nose and go to the next place. But I've been very engaged and involved. So by saying now you take over that engagement and that decision making and that shelter giving responsibility, by saying so, I actually revolutionarily investigate a new platform of Krishna consciousness. It is a new platform. And I appreciate it very much because it is like delivering to you what was promised. What does that mean? Well, I deliver to you what Prabhupada delivered to me. An amazing circle, literature, deities, eco-yoga ashrams. Everything Prabhupada promised us, he delivered to us. And I'm delivering to you so that you can develop it, and not only develop what is there, but develop new things, like specifically Srila B.A. Maharaj, he emphasized to us, and this is a feature I want to underline here, even though I already left it written down in some of my attempted wills, something I wrote down for the future of Vrinda, that new spiritual masters, they should open new temples. Now what does that mean? Well, spiritual masters is a Shiksha Guru. Anybody who takes responsibility, he is a spiritual master. Let's get it clear. Anybody who takes any responsibility somewhere for Krishna consciousness, he is a spiritual master. So it says that new spiritual masters should start at least one little preaching center. What's the big deal with that? Or maybe 2, or maybe 3. Giri Maharaj, he opened 8 of them, I think, within 1 year or a little bit more. 8 preaching center in Buenos Aires he opened, so in Argentina. So it is very, very feasible, if you want to. So new spiritual masters should create new areas of preaching. And what means new? New means where they are taking the responsibility primarily. Which means that main temples like Varshana, Vrinda Kunja, Berlin, Vrinda Kunja, India, Ekotruli Park, Ekachakra, New Vrindavan, those very old Vrinda properties which have been created by the effort of so many people, they should exist within the management of the devotees who are there, and should not be, there can be different spiritual masters visiting them there. They can also have their disciples do seva there, but such temples should not become of one particular spiritual master at the exclusion of others. That is important. Main temples should not become Jai Sisi Guru Goranga, Gandharvika, Govinda Sundaram. And as I say this, Thakurji opens, so that is more confirmation you cannot get. It's like the top confirmation. So, as I said that, the main temples should not have a spiritual master at the exclusion of others. Jai. But for example, let's take a case like Prague. Prague is something which has been opened by the efforts of Malati. And of course then it will be she who coordinates how the spiritual development goes on in such places. Or let's say, or Krishna Kirtan, whatever he does in Poland, that's according to how he wishes it. And Prabhupada Kripa in Austria, he will do according to how he feels fit. That is his independently thoughtful responsibility. And Krishna Vilas in Switzerland, he will do, because this is like his turf. And Yoga Shakti Maharaj, they will do in Mallorca, because they have developed that, so it's already their place, in a sense. So where there's a natural leader, well, natural leaders are natural leaders, that's it. So, but it's just where there has been some place which has really configured, and with the work of so many, and nobody should claim, nobody should be eager to claim control of anything. You see, Krishna consciousness is very powerful. Practically speaking, Krishna can give you another Vrinda mission in another 20 years. If he wants to, it's no problem for Krishna. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. Even financially, it's nothing. I mean, all the Vrinda mission, it doesn't have the same value of one AVAX plane. AVAX plane, it's an investigation plane that is selling like for $300 million. If you want to buy one like that. I mean, our financials, they're not very important. And financials is peanuts. There's so many rich people, and all of them, they don't know what to do with their money. The riches of this world is one of the most stupid things you can imagine. It is so stupid that you can almost vomit on top of it. Just like I went to Paradise Island, because because there was one devotee has a boat. So he invited me, let's go and see the sunset over the Atlantic Ocean. So we went a few days with Vrinda. So we went to, in order to go there, we had to go Paradise Island. Paradise Island, it's right in front of Miami. It's all fancy, fancy, fancy apartments. It's an own island, they have an own infrastructure, everything. So those who are not shikimishkis, posh, they can never even go there. Huh? And Paradise Island was empty. There was nobody. There was nobody. All the apartments all empty, 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 empty. Because people have money, they buy these stupid apartments, but they have no time to go there. They just invest, let's invest a little money in Paradise Island. Oh, good prestige we have an apartment there. Nobody was there. All this stupid, idiotic, billionaire investment for nothing but shit. And a few employees who cut the lawn. Huh? They have a few people that can cut the lawn. Nobody was there. Not even one window was lit up. We went there early in the morning. And that's the same thing in Venezuela. All the luxury apartments in La Guaira, all of them. And you're talking about thousands of apartments, each one minimum $200,000 of value. Thousands of empty apartments. What do you want to tell me about investing money? People in this world, they have money like crazy and they spend it crazy. Useless. So, if Krishna wants us to have money for anything, he'll send it to you overnight. He says, no problem for Krishna. If he wants you to have, if he doesn't want you to have, then why worry about it? So this these are the facts. Another one, La Gomera. We have a very nice preaching center there now, by the grace of Krishna's Kaviraj and Bhavani. They have done this wonderful work there. It's really a spectacular place, but it's in a ghost town. Only rich people own those houses there, and they are never there. Maybe a few weeks in the year where they go to stay at their. Well, we are there all the time because we are preaching there. So for us it's different. Our investment is wise. Our temples have people. But otherwise, the money world, money, I tell you, money is just a reason for people to go mad. It's not worth much talking about. If you have it, spend it for Krishna. Fine. Don't keep it in the bank. In the bank, it's just going to go drive you crazy. Make something for Krishna. Have some land, put a few hectares in Krishna's name. Not in your name, in Krishna's name. Make sure you have a nice registration that you can say these 5 hectares belong to Krishna under the authority of this little team. Don't be stingy. Give something to Krishna. If not, it's your own foolishness. You can sit on your money, no problem. Then all it's going to do, it's going to burn your back part. You're going to have a nicely burnt butt from the money you sit on. It's nonsense. Absolutely nonsense. And I speak from my heart because I'm surrounded by everything. The most poor and the rich, I've seen them all. I've taken baths with the billionaires in Ganga and all that. One of the billionaires who owns his own bank in Switzerland, he came to Peru, supposed to see what we are doing for Hinduism there. He came, he saw a temple and everything, and then he left and he gave Panchatatva $100. Wow. I can tell you many stories like that. But then there's the other side of the picture, where there's some devotees like Madhu Pandit. They're building temples for $365 million in Bangalore. I tell you, I've been surrounded with everything in my life. I've seen it all. And I tell you, don't pay attention to money. Just pay attention to making Krishna friends. And if somebody has money, if Krishna is meant to give you money, he'll have any money you want, he wants. So therefore, I also don't think that the Vrinda mission is a big accomplishment, except that group of loving people, well-meaning people, that is absolutely unique. Very absolutely unique. People like Prabhupada, people like Golok, people like Ambarish, people like Aradhya. My God, so amazing people. And to work with them year after year, doing things. Wow. Priya, isn't it true? Then you really feel that life is worth living. When you meet such incredible people and can do things. I mean, Chakrimar we bought for $5,000. $5,000, that's what bought Chakrimar. Vangsi gave it to me. He collected it by selling paintings in Germany. He said, here Gurudev, take this money. I told him, you know, we are preaching in Hironkayao. Whoever knows Peru, Hironkayao, we called that place La Ratonera. It was like the worst thing you can imagine, and we are still preaching there 35 years later. Still, but it was so miserable. I said, Vangsi, the Peruvians need some land, some farm, there's nothing. He said, okay, I give you the money. And I went there and I looked up and down, and finally we found Chakrimar, and we bought it for $5,000. Now it is famous all over South America. It's been on Discovery Channel, and all everything. I mean, it's really gotten so much recognition by the love the devotees have invested there, not by finances. Finances are just some kind of illusion. Yes, there's some people, they can spend $10,000 for one night of sleeping in Miami Beach. And don't think there's only one apartment available. They have many buildings where people pay $10,000 a night for pooping. What a horrible thing to do, to throw Krishna's money away like this, no? And for Krishna they don't do anything. No. I have no respect for money. But I worship it as Lakshmi's energy, but when it's in the hand of the asuras, poor asuras and poor money. Anyway, Lakshmi, she decides how she wants to manage these things. So, coming back to the point, if you are a preacher and you're going to do some more preaching, Krishna is going to give you everything. Doesn't matter whether you're Brahma Sanhita or Radha Govinda or whoever you are. Krishna is going to give you everything. So never be worried about money. Just preach. And what comes, comes. Just don't be worried about it. It's nothing. This is not theory, this is practice. This is the truth. Of course, as a preacher, sometimes we have to beg. Oh, please give a little money for the Sunday feast. Sometimes we do like this, but this is not a problem. We can beg. We are beggars by profession. This is our constitutional Tridanti Bhikkhu is a traveling mendicant. We are traveling beggars. So please buy this book, please come to the temple, please eat this prasad, please join us for this festival, please, 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 please. We are beggars. When you say please, you mean you're asking for something, no? So we have no problem of asking people, but don't be attached. So our new preachers, they will start preaching centers. They will not sit in the temple and say, no, 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 this is my right. I have a right to sit here and preach, not you. It is a foolish thing. There's preaching space everywhere. And just do it. Follow Pati's example, how he goes to Munich and starts a new center. We can start Hamburg, we can start Helgoland Yatra. We have no limits. Leipzig Yatra and Nuremberg Yatra. So there's so much we can do. Every town and village in the world, even San Marcos. San Marcos, a little village on the Atitlan, has a big Vaishnava festival there. So this is what really my heart tells me, that an amazing dimension of spiritual joy and success lies ahead of you. I can hardly believe it that I'm 64 years old. Sometimes I'm feeling like I'm 16. It's true, you don't get the feeling. Of course, then if you start observing your body, you start realizing he's not 16, you know. but truly speaking, you know, an incredible journey of joy and success lies ahead of you. Just grab it. Just do it. Don't be afraid and look for good company always. Beautiful company to do what you have to do. Wow. This will be, and I will be observing. And then if you do what you do, and you can say, oh, this is my offering to Vrinda, then we will be very joyful. It will be Vrinda this and Vrinda that. Vrinda Bhakti Aloka, Vrinda this. Any kind of offering we make. You know, actually my offerings nowadays are to the United Nations of the Spirit. I don't even care to offer my things to Paramadvaiti Gaudiya Sampradaya, even though I love this Sampradaya. I was educated in this Sampradaya, but I think the United Nations of the Spirit is a higher category of human seva, because it takes in the whole world. It doesn't exclude anyone. Of course, Brahmamadva Gaudiya Sampradaya invites the whole world to be part of this great family of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also a world preacher who is inviting the whole world, but it's not as pronounced because it is also a particular religious group, whereas the United Nations of the Spirit is the universal family of brothers and sisters working for the welfare of Mother Earth and the happiness of all. And I do appreciate, for me, the Vrinda mission is an offering to the United Nations of the Spirit. But you know, the United Nations of the Spirit is a spirit, it's not an organization. It's not somebody to be affiliated with, registered, to have a directory post or this post or that post. It is just the spirit of the natives, the spirit of love. Therefore you can embrace it easily and you don't have to be afraid, oh, I'm saying I'm doing things for the United Nations of the Spirit, now I'm losing my identity. Forget it. Your identity shall be preserved as you make offerings to the United Nations of the Spirit. That way you'll have an identity of validity, something valuable, something with integrity. Not, I am presenting my little club which wants to include everybody under our roof. You know, people, they have a logo, they have a institutional conception, and then they want that to be the only one. We have that joke that somebody goes to the spiritual world and then they walk around there and all of a sudden they come to a big wall, and from behind the wall beautiful songs can be heard. People are chanting very nicely. And then they ask, what is this? This is spiritual world. Why is this wall here? And they say, oh, behind that wall there's the members of ISKCON. They think they're the only ones here. Actually, I heard the joke for the Catholic Church. They said, beyond the wall, that's the Catholic Church. They think they're the only ones here. So sometimes in ISKCON they behave just like that, like they're the only ones who are representing Vaishnavism in the world or something. So this type of narrow-minded silliness, I hope you never suffer from it. I hope you never have to suffer from somebody says, no, this is the Vrinda mission, but the others, they're nothing. I really pray you never fall into this trap, because it's a stupid trap, you know. I like Srila Bhakti Maharaj. He never fell in that trap. He had love for everybody. He went everywhere. He visited our temples. He gave us his grace, and there was not even a consideration that my mission, your mission. It was just like, we are Prabhupada's mission, Krishna's mission. So, but unity in diversity, that should be alive. And do not be afraid if some grihastas start initiating disciples at some point also. Srila Gurudeva Tulananda started initiating on my personal humble request, because it was getting too much even at that time for me. I couldn't handle all these things, and he was my god brother, my very stalwart friend, and he started, I don't remember 16 years ago or so, he started initiating, and everybody loves his preaching and everything. And he's of course one of the greatest guardians of the Vrinda mission, coming already, continuing. So that is, and of course we have some amazing sannyasis who are also in front of different areas and temples where they are beloved and where they are active. So let's see what comes, you know. I am not I am not peculiar saying only this person or only that person should do. It will always, Prabhupada was not even appointed as spiritual master by his spiritual master, but he was appointed as the preacher for the West. And he turned out to be who he was. So I just have my own vision, which is a very beautiful vision. And in that vision there's also women spiritual masters and grihastas spiritual masters. You know, actually grihastas, they are more traditionally the spiritual master. It has become a bit of a sannyasi movement because the sannyasis used to go everywhere and they are the most indicated when you go and open a new place, and the sannyasi does that, so he becomes kind of the main figure there. But if you are considering traditionally, it was the grihastas who always in a place, who were the local shiksha gurus and maybe diksha gurus also, because they're always there, and the new devotees who also live there can relate to them. Because to me, something I was missing in the later years in our family was that you initiate so many people, I mean, sometimes I go from one place to another, initiate. But those people hardly get the confidence, the intimacy with the Guru to really respond in their relationship to him and to fulfill his cherished dreams. Because, I mean, of course we all want to fulfill the cherished dreams of Srila Prabhupada, number 1, number 2, and number 3. But still in a relationship with a Shiksha Guru, you should feel like, wow, he's my guardian. I want to do things with him and for him. And this is a very, in my own, I was seeing in a way, my work is expanding, but the quality is decreasing. So that I wasn't so happy about that. And that is one of the motivations which I say, time has come now, and this is so exciting to me, to see that the people will believe in you, people will believe in Lalita Madhava, people will believe in Halada, people will believe in Govinda Vilas. Why not? The guy has been so many years in this movement. And now, will you accept them? Will you give shelter to them? Will you tell them, yes, you can become part of this family? It depends on you. The spiritual master is made by the disciple, number 1. The disciple goes to the Guru and says, please, give me shelter. I want to be under your care. And that's how it starts. Then the Guru decides, wait, my dear. I have a very great Guru behind me. He's helping me. I'll take you to him and he'll initiate you and I'll keep looking after you. Because if you take them to the Guru to get kind of wash your hands, say, hey, I have nothing to do with you, then it's not sincere. Because if somebody comes to you and says, I want to be under your guidance, then you should understand he's your disciple now. Somebody who comes to you for your guidance, that means he becomes your disciple. Now, how are you going to deal with that? How are you going to guide him onwards from that? It's a big job. I tell you, I've said it many times and I repeat it once again. When Harija Maharaj and myself accepted disciples in 1984, we were not feeling qualified to do that job. Now, why did we accept it? Because there was nobody else to look after Colombia at that time. It was a very complicated situation, and it was really like, if we would not do it, it was going to be like desert land. So then we thought, okay, let's try this, to follow Prabhupada. You know, we are not born in Vaishnava families. We don't dominate the Vaishnava languages of India. We don't have many good samskaric qualifications and all that, but nevertheless, the job is here. The people are in need. And we believe in Prabhupada, and we believe in the philosophy of reincarnation, and we believe in that when you chant the holy name of Krishna, at the moment of death, you go back to home, back to God. That's why I tell people, Anta kale chamanyeva smaram kalevaram. Krishna says, whoever thinks of me at the moment of death, he will definitely reach my supreme dominion. So, I believe in that. I think that's good. If that's not so, then what the heck? If you think of Krishna at the moment of death, some people say, how can you be sure God exists? How can you be sure? I said, well, if he doesn't exist, then what the heck? Huh? We have had a great time. It's beautiful, but at the same time, I do believe this. I believe when you think of God in the moment of death, he will come and he will take care of the rest. And he's taking care of the rest even now. He's feeding us, he's giving us everything. So what difficulty to believe at the moment of death he's going to be there also when he's even now here. Because besides God, nobody gives me air, nobody gives me food, nobody gives me water, nobody is giving me an independent mind of my own and a free will to decide. So it's all him. It's all him. It's all his love. So this is how you see, I've further extended upon my reflections this morning. So you can understand where my heart is at and how open-minded I see it. Now wait a second, it's not my open-mindedness. It's Mahaprabhu's own attitude. It's Prabhupada's own order. It's not that, oh, he's leaving and he's leaving like 2 people, 3 people in charge, and now we have to live with them, whatever style they come up with, whatever thing they may do, I may like, I may not like, or I get lost. No, that was not the spirit of Mahaprabhu, not the spirit of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In other words, the freedom I'm talking about is that freedom which our gurus have given us. I'm just making it underlined. That's what I want. I don't want anybody to jump on top of each other and make the others feel, oh, you have to do what I say because I'm 1 month older in the movement than you. I know, I have the picture. I was initiated before you. Something like that, no? It's not like that. But it is love. Krishna consciousness is a loving affair, and so loving and so beautiful. And then I must also admit to you that I feel increasingly relieved, because when you have 250 temples and they all expect you every year to come, and if you don't get them on your itinerary, they get upset with you and they call you and they ask you, don't you love us anymore? Did we do anything wrong that you didn't put Timbuktu on your itinerary? Is there anything? Shall we now commit whatever, you know? So I feel extremely relieved that I don't have to go anywhere except if some other for visiting, encouraging, training. It'll take me that way. I may easily be, but not whatever kind of service. Like in India, if there's a lot of service, and I'll spend some time there, and whatever. If somebody if somebody is very eager for us to come, he may voluntarily deposit the value of the ticket money to visit their place into our donation account without any demand. Then if somebody says, oh, they sent this money, go to Colombia. Well, maybe we go for Janmashtami. Something like that, you know. But otherwise, it's really very serious. It's time for you to take responsibility. Because otherwise, if there's no real change, then things will just go on the way it is, and nobody will really take any further action. Like if I would have died already, which is very likable to happen with an old guy, he can die any moment, no? So then it would already be there, and so I think it's a very interesting thing. Plus, it gives me a chance to work on a few things which I have had very little time. By my schedule of traveling, I had very little time. I was under very much pressure, too much, and I had very little time, and I could hardly get time for reading and chanting. So this is also not so good. So, and of course I would always keep with some brahmacharis. So if anybody is a brahmachari and he really wants to spend a few weeks, months or years with me, there'll be always a group with me, so I can keep my own good association. And but I don't want them to feel unhappy. There's no I don't want the secretary who then says, oh, I'm bored. I asked him many times, are you bored already? It's because, you know, spiritual life is a very dynamic life, and exactly the details about my future life, I have not worked them out. I don't know. I will work according to what are the most intensive calls coming to me, especially in the India work. I reveal my mind to you. I want Vrindavan clean and neat and perfect. I really want that. I don't know if I have any influence on it. I don't like the Indian administration. It's horrible. But still they have given us little chance to be a little bit part of it. We have had some reception, some nice people. Shailash Kant is a very gentle devotee who is like a very influential man in Vrindavan right now. So we like to be part of the solution and like that. Of course, I'm a dreamer. I also want Yamuna and Ganga to flow clean without all the garbage in it. But I think I'll die before that happens because the Yamuna flows by Delhi. Who's going to take a 20 million people town and avoid that they contaminate the river, you know? That really would require the total commitment of 20 million people plus the government to say no more garbage in the Yamuna. Because just before the Yamuna arrives at Delhi, at Sonia Bihar, Mahavir Maharaj has an ashram. And that ashram, we go and bathe in the Yamuna. It's huge, river, clean, and wow, fantastic. So it's Delhi, which is the #1 problem. Anyhow, this is not, I'm just dreaming to you. I want certain things, which I think are part of Krishna consciousness, you know. Hinduism for me is something very great. It's Sanatan Dharma, it's Vaishnavism, it's the love for everyone, you know. That's what I believed in, because after socialism, you know, so when my illusion of socialism crumbled, realizing that they are just another bunch of people, power hungry, bloody, doing things in this world I say, no, I don't want to be part of that at all. I don't want to be part of any carnage, any injustice in the name of freedom. And then the freedom ends up to be a prison like Cuba or something like that. Sorry, you know. So I was in that illusion, socialistic illusion in my youth. Now our dream is cosmogeocracy. Cosmogeocracy means the government of the world in combination with the laws of the universe, with the original laws and respect for all. And that is something born out of the United Nations of the Spirit. So my political orientation nowadays is cosmogeocracy, in case somebody asks you. And then they would say, where's your cosmogeocracy manifest? Well, so far in the heart of those who can understand it and believe it. It's like, I don't want to call it utopic, because why should it be utopic? So many nonsense systems could get established in the world. Why a good system should not be established? If all kinds, anarchy, that was another proposal some people had, give up, nobody should be in charge whatsoever. But that's not what the ancient people have taught, that anarchy. It's cosmogeocracy. It is, and in the cosmogeocracy, the ones who are in charge, they're the ladies. The assembly of the grandmothers, they have to give the approval to any big decisions. Only when they say, yes, that's right, that should be done, otherwise forget it. So, grandmother circle, that is really something. They should make the decision about military expenditure. I tell you, I won't spend any penny on this stupidity. It's a bit dreamy, but you know, in our Krishna conscious family, we also believe in the criteria of the mothers. The mother's criteria is very important. Their heart is always soft and want to do the best for the others. So, anyhow, according to Vaishnava philosophy, we are all female, so we don't really have problem there that we have to compete. It's just like, because it's Radharani, she knows what's the best thing to do. Anyhow, I will finish my talk here because it's almost 10 o'clock now and this breakfast is waiting for you. And we will have question and answers after. Question and answers, because this morning we said we will have a little bit of reflection about the future of the Vrinda family, and I gave you a few hints. Now we have still some question and answers, but first we take breakfast. Jai Sisi Guru Gauranga, Tandavika Govinda Sundaram, the original deities of Srila Bhakti Rakshira Maharaj. Also, besides that, I will also do some work with the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math's new administration, maybe creating a chapter of the Utsav, the University of Ancient Wisdom, in Chaitanya Saraswat Math, because they're quite in need because of the changes happening there. But this is just something else on the agenda. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to our Guru Varga, all glories to the wonderful Vaishnava. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol.
Yamishpada Mahamsa Pidaka Acharya Sadra Sisi Masila Vaktara Ukranipti Swami Srila Guru Maharaj Ki